on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
In the same vein as I was carrying too much shit. I did not carry a journal. I had a full-blown meltdown the weekend before we were going to leave because I could not get out of my head that we were going to be on passes where we could not see the trail and we were going to have to go over passes covered in ice and snow and that we would lose where we were supposed to go and we would either get stuck or slide down.
Mm-hmm.
And I could not let that go because people had died.
Yes, it was a rough year.
There had been people that died at river crossings, people that had died kind of just losing trail and...
R.I.P. Strawberry.
Yes. And so I had these reflections of not... I literally said I'm terrified of losing my mirage of control. In real life, we have stores and homes. We have places to get things and material items to fix everything. I have to recognize that I'm losing that facade and depending entirely on myself in the real world, the natural world, and I have no control.
Mm-hmm. No, you don't.
I hated that.
You have no control when you're out there. I mean, you have almost an illusion of control in the sense of I can control what I do and I can control what I bring, but everything else beyond that, there's nothing. There's no control. And we have a rule in my house because we love to hike in my house. And the rule is the mountain will always win.
Yeah.
And the heart of this rule is that you aren't in control and you can do your best to mitigate the risk of being outdoors, but it's always a risk.
I read that first piece and I said the realization that you only have yourself, the most vulnerable that you can be. Trusting myself was heavy, that I was capable. The hardest hurdle for me to feel good about starting was getting over that. And I cried tears of pure terror a few weeks before. What if I can't find my way? What if there are impassable moments, physical or mental? And there were. What will I do? Who am I? Will I be the idiot that should have known better or the quitter? I just couldn't face the unknown without the comforts of my adaptations for assistance. Eventually, I learned that the adaptations were less about my ability and more about my need for reassurance. I also... these are literal... there's a term in qualitative research called jottings, which basically means, holy shit, I have to write this down or I'll forget it. And I think that that's what most of these were. I also said personal relativism, comparison to other women attempting these same feats or men who are doing this. It's toxic. It's the fear and anxiety becoming compounded, brutal self-actualization to recognize that my own need to be complete and then defend those who underestimated me creates my own fragile ego to be brutish. I'm feeling the impact of knowing I must put on the strong face and the brave front and release or ignore my fears and concerns. And for whatever reason, it's seen as weakness to acknowledge the reality of the unknown, almost as if arrogance is the equivalent to competency. It felt like the options were do it and do it so brave and so confident that you're arrogant and might get hurt, might die.
Yeah.
Or be so afraid of everything that you just don't.
Yes.
And there is space in between there, but that did not feel like an option before I had done the thing.
Yeah, I think that's something we had to learn along the way. And I think that's a lesson that in hindsight has served me well.
I also, and this is a reflection from now on what I had just written, it was clear to me that my commitment to this was bigger than me and my ego. My desire to prove something. The outer shell of my fragile self was presenting as strong and brave, feeling all squishy and insecure underneath. But I did feel pressure to, in quotes, do it right for the other women, people of color, disabled folks, queer folks, anyone who wasn't typical. Because it's a space that white, able-bodied men take up.
Yeah, they dominate it.
And so I felt, knowing I wanted to do research on this really toxic trail bro culture that made me feel this way.
Yeah.
I wanted to do it. I'm also just that fucking person. you tell me I can't do something, I'm like, the fuck I won't. And no one told me I couldn't do this until I said I was gonna.
Yeah.
Right? And then it was like, well, are you sure you can do that? Do you have the right things? Do you know what you would do if? And I think their anxiety, maybe not their anxiety, people who cared about me had anxiety, and their anxiety I definitely embody. And the people who were like, yeah, okay, that fed the ego, but the ego, it was more than just my ego, right? I felt like I had to do it for other people.
Mm-hmm.
And not that I'm paving the way for people to be doing this, but I wanted reflections and research on this thing actually existing and validating that it is a serious problem that excludes people from spaces that should be completely public, with histories that should be told, because they are not without other people. Like, Indigenous people occupied these places. They are their homelands. They have their names. They have their own stories. We've been putting this other culture on top of it.
Yes.
And everyone should have access to those spaces because they're important to humanity.
Yeah.
And the ecosystem at large, the closer we feel connected to environment, the more likely we are to protect environment.
Yeah.
All of those things felt really important to exist in the written word in an academic sense to prove that it's valuable, because I had not found anything that had touched that.
Yes.
And I felt the pressure of wanting that to exist because I was in academia in a way that was institutionalized, right? This is something that has been published. It's been said. It's been greenlit by other professors.
Right. Because if it was institutionalized, that lended something to it through the lens of academia, right?
And it validates when, not that we need institutional validation, but it validates when people on the internet have their blogs that say these things, when people are posting things on Instagram, when the social media says this is true. Having something that is capital R research as defined by the ivory tower lends credence to those voices, and it shouldn't require that, but it did.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah. And now, nearly a decade later, I know, right, that there's so much more to it than that.
Right.
Right.
But I had a goal. I was serving a purpose. I wanted to accomplish something. And the mechanism for doing that was finishing this research.
Yeah.
And a vast majority of my data came from places like personal blogs and social media posts, and places where community did form in resistance to this toxic culture. But if I had tried to write a dissertation with just things I found on the internet,
yeah,
I would have been laughed out of the University of Oregon, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's changed now, but at the time it hadn't. And so I did feel pressure. I think a lot about the diversity of nature, the fact that all disabilities are natural, so they happen before birth and in the process of survival. We're natural beings. We function as we can, but so often we accept nature to be perfection and perfection to be limited to one particular way of being. It's easy to ignore the problematic simplification of nature to be innate acceptance when it's so frequently policed. It's so easy to reject the realities of others as not your problem, but when one person is excluded, we are collectively failing as a culture and society.
Yeah. Did you, kind of hearing what you've written, it feels like a lot, there's a lot, you felt a lot of pressure to, validate something, which feels a little savory, in hindsight. Did you feel just an immense amount of pressure?
Oh, yeah. I feel an immense amount of pressure all the time.
Yeah.
That's perfectionism.
Yeah.
That's high achieving. That's how I've always been. And I knew that none of my research was going to change any of this.
Yeah.
But I felt a pressure to create something that would be a validation of it in the world I existed in, right? I don't think that anyone who posted, if you find my dissertation, you can read the data points of people that posted these things, the blogs that people wrote of their experiences on this specific trail and in others. There's countless stories of people being policed and harmed both in person and online when trying to access things like long distance hiking. And there's instances of violence on long distance trails. There's instances of violence in just national parks against women, against queer people. Like those things happen more often than you would expect them to, and that they should, right? You should be able to go outside and be more afraid of animals than you are other people.
Yeah.
But my thesis on women's identity, the fundamental nugget that came out of that is women will always be more afraid of other people than they will of being outside in the wild.
Right. And this was long before the online discourse around like, would you choose the man or would you choose the bear?
Correct. This was a long time before that.
Yeah.
But that's ultimately what that thesis got to, is that women who hike alone are terrified of finding other people. They have a plan for if they come across a wild animal or a dangerous situation.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They know what they'll do if they fall down and hurt themselves. They have an emergency beacon, or 6 people know where they're supposed to be and when they're supposed to be back. They have GPS monitoring. Like, they have a plan. They are smart enough to know how to navigate things and avoid harming themselves. Accidents happen, and if that happens, this is what we'll do next.
Yeah.
If I come across a bear, I know that I'm supposed to make myself big or climb the tree or make a lot of noise, whatever, right?
Yeah.
I come across a mountain lion, I'm supposed to put my arms up. I'm supposed to
Be big,
be loud and big. If I see a rattlesnake, don't go near it, right? I have a set of personal rules that I follow outside as a woman. But if I come across another person, I'm fucking terrified. That's what I heard time and again. That, I think, also felt bad. Right? I want these places to be somewhere that people can go and feel safe. Because until I got to Oregon, I hiked my ass all over Southern California by myself and never thought twice about it. Because I had the privilege of doing so. Was I safe every time? No. I don't know that, right? I have no idea if I could have been in harm's way at any of those points in time.
Mm-hmm.
But I grew up going to these places with my family, feeling safe, and that sense of security probably falsely reinforced that I would be safe in those places. And so when I heard from other people, it slapped me across the face like, wait, what? You don't feel comfortable in the place that I feel the most comfortable? Why? Right? And that led me down the path of like, what bad things have happened. And the AT is famous for this. The Appalachian Trail is famous.
It is.
I think primarily because it stays close to people.
It does. Right. And it both makes the Appalachian Trail more accessible because it weaves in and out of towns, right? But it also makes it inherently more dangerous.
Like the CDT, the Continental Divide Trail.
Mm-hmm.
There are chunks of it that still have to go along the road that are not protected actual trail.
Yeah.
There are pieces of it that are more less developed, that require more mountaineering skills to truly navigate. It is likely safer than the AT.
Yeah.
Because it is further away from people. I felt a lot of pressure here, not to save people, because I don't have that power, and I didn't expect myself to. I didn't think writing a dissertation was going to be like, and suddenly the Nobel Peace Prize for, whatever is going to Nikki because she wrote a paper about how some people don't feel safe outside. So now everyone's safe.
Yeah.
But I felt pressure to validate that the people who were in my position, like, I grew up in Southern California as a young person, a white, able-bodied, cisgendered, heteronormative person going in these spaces, never questioning if I should be there.
Yeah.
And I came to realize that wasn't always the case for everyone. I did grow up with a lot of diversity.
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot of friends who did not look like me, who came from different cultures, who had different values around nature, different ways of interacting with nature. And all of that felt normal and fine. And I moved to Eugene, Oregon, and was like, holy hell, this is a lot of white people.
Yes.
And it taught me something I hadn't known because it was so different. LA nature, it's nature light. Because you go to Griffith Park and you climb up to the Hollywood sign, and not only are you looking at man-made letters, but you're looking at a massive valley full of people.
Yeah.
You see the ocean, and you know what's between you and the ocean? Like 1 million people. You go to the Angeles National Forest, and you might get bits and pieces of being away from people, but those highways are well-traveled. I never went to a day-use location where there were not other people.
Mm-hmm.
The Oregon outdoors, you can go places where you will not see another person.
Yes.
You will go on mountain roads where you will not see another car.
And accidentally get stuck behind gates.
You can drive in Oregon to places where you feel truly isolated.
Yeah.
And being in those places, you will not see signs of people. Not that they aren't there, but the trees are thick, the mountains are tall, and you're not the nothingness of being in nature, where it feels so detached from humanity, doesn't exist in the same way.
Yeah.
In Southern California. You have to go a lot further and try a lot harder to be in those kinds of places.
Yeah.
Not that they don't exist, but if you're in the LA area, if you're in the valley, the places you recreate are places where a lot of other people are recreating, and it's likely very close to where people are living.
Yeah. I mean, you can drive an hour outside of any major city in Oregon. And
I drove 5 minutes outside Eugene and was like, damn, this is rural.
yeah, well, I would say an hour, right? Because I'm thinking about Portland too, right? So any major city, and look at those woods and be like, I understand why people think that Sasquatch lives in these woods.
No one is saying that Sasquatch lives in Southern California. Because I grew up in that nature, and I did go up to the Eastern Sierra. I did go camping, car camping.
Yeah.
Front country camping, where you see other families camping right next to you. That's what I was used to. And so I think going to Oregon and having conversations with people shocked me, because it was a different kind of being in nature.
Yeah.
And it was a different kind of fear that I hadn't considered. And I mean, fully transparent, I also grew up in a very sheltered situation. I didn't have a ton of friends. I didn't go to people's houses. I stayed in my house with my family, with the people I knew. And whether conditioned that way or naturally that way, probably both, I was comfortable with that.
Yeah.
And so I was sheltered from a lot of things and a lot of situations that may have taught me that people can be bad and they will hurt you in the woods, right?
Yeah.
But I think I felt a lot of pressure having gotten to Oregon. It's like you see something on fire and you feel a responsibility to put it out, even if you know you can't put it out and it's not your responsibility. I felt like a need to do something. I don't feel like, call me someone with a savior complex. If that's what you think it is, maybe it is. I don't think that I felt like I could save everybody, but I felt like I needed to do what I could do.
Yeah, this was how you could contribute.
It was contributing to something, and it was important to me to do it right.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be the person that, like, I fixed it. You know, like, it's complicated.
Yeah.
It's not easy. I want to be as transparent as I can about my experiences, because I think it lays ground for other people. I would have loved to have had 15 podcasts of people telling me what it was like for them planning the JMT and what their experiences were, because I would have listened to all of them.
Yeah.
And I still would have made mistakes.
Yes.
But would I have felt safer? Would I have felt less pressure? Would it have been more normalized to be an anxious person choosing to do a scary thing and doing it scared?
Yeah, I don't think having those podcasts, which I also wish would have existed. I think I watched Mile and a Half on a loop for like just the years leading up to us going on the JMT. I don't think it would have negated my anxiousness.
Yes.
Like I still am an anxious person, even though I've done a lot of work, but I still have a lot of work to do, right? Specifically around anxiety.
I was going to say, anxiety is just a natural thing.
Yes. But I grew up not far off the Appalachian Trail, and with a mom that wanted to do the Appalachian Trail. I know, that was the dream of hers for a long time, and it never panned out.
Wanted to do the AT?
Yes. So I grew up hearing about the Appalachian Trail, and it's something that I would love to do one day, but I don't know is in the cards for me. Oh no, Nikki is looking at me.
When I met M's mom, it was at her wedding, and she turned to me, and I was like, "Hi, I'm Nikki," and she said, "You." You're the one she's doing the hike with. And I have never been more afraid of anyone in my life.
Okay, my mom's like 5'2" with silver hair.
Correct?
She's like a Southern mom.
Oh, yeah. You. She was like, you taking my baby and doing scary things.
I love my mother. She's amazing.
She is a
Hi, Mom.
certified badass.
She is.
And because of that, when she looked at me and said, you,
My mom is
terrifying.
a badass. Yeah. Yeah, she's a badass. But like it never panned out for her, right? But like the Bill Bryson books and like, you know, the adventure books and like all of the things. Like I get my sense of adventure and wanderlust from my mother. I also think I get my anxiety from my mother. Sorry, Mom. I think you would agree with me though. Like low key, love that I'm having a one-way conversation with my mother on this podcast. Because Mom is also the one that's like, I think is a little bit more anxious and, you know, learning about the Appalachian Trail murders and all of the bad things that have happened on the Appalachian Trail are things that like stoke my anxiety about being out in the woods alone.
Yep.
And I do try and do things scared. I do try and do things that help mitigate my anxiety.
Yeah.
And I think I'm also coming to peace with like, maybe there are some things that I'm just not going to do because of my nervous system, and maybe that's okay. So like maybe I'll do the AT one day, maybe I won't. Who knows? Like I don't know what's in the cards for me in the future.
The like do it scared, do it anyway. I feel like that needs to be more of a mantra and not just do it scared, but do it anyway. Right? Is it too much? Are you being over the top? Is it ridiculous? Is it a fantasy to want to accomplish that? Right? Do it anyway.
Yes. I am a cancer survivor. And I sometimes struggle with that language because once you have lived through cancer, it never leaves you. I don't really like putting it in the past because, you know, even though I am no evidence of disease, someone knock on wood for me, please. Thank you. The imprint of that on my body and on my soul will never go away. They think I had cancer about 6 to 7 years before I was diagnosed, which means I had cancer on the trail, which is breathtaking to think about. And when I woke up from surgery and my doctor looked at me and said, you had more cancer than we realized, and it was in your abdomen, I didn't think about anything else than all of the things that I didn't do. And not that they were regrets, but just that like, oh, but I haven't done X, Y, and Z yet. I think this is my very long, windy way of saying, do it scared and do it.
To me, it's the big and the small.
Yeah.
Right? Do the JMT scared.
Yes.
Because you wanted to do it. But also, oh, I saw that card and I was going to get it for my friend because it made me think of them. But then I was like, that's a lot. It's over the top. Do it anyway. Show up when that sense of adventure, or we keep going to whimsy. Meaning the sense of adventure, the sense of whimsy. I tell myself 5 days a week, I walk down to my Peloton bike and I just say, just fucking do it. Don't think about it. Just fucking do it. Because if I think about it, I'm going to talk myself out of it. And I think the do it scared is like, it's even bigger than just do it scared. Do it scared, do it anxious, do it tired. Do the thing that you really want to do that you're going to talk yourself out of. I think this was one of those. Clearly, let's turn to day 0, where the first thing I wrote was, I'm feeling less scared.
Yes.
Just getting my ass to Yosemite, putting the pack on my back, walking around for like 2 hours to find the backpackers camp because the map they gave us was garbage.
Trash.
Note to Yosemite, the backpackers camp, when you tell me I have to park in a specific parking lot and I have to go to a backpackers camp that's not near that parking lot, I'm gonna need a better map.
Indeed. I actually have here transcribed a text that I sent to my husband, and it says, it simultaneously feels real and unreal, and I simultaneously feel calm and anxious. I sent that to him on day 0.
Day 0, and I'm feeling less scared. This morning was the worst.
Okay, so do we want to talk about day 0?
We did a road trip.
Yeah.
Did some stuff before we started the trail. We ended up starting from LA, where I was dropping off my dog with my family, and my family was going to help us. We were driving my car up and leaving it in Yosemite, and they were going to pick us up on our exit and drive us back up to our car. So we kind of started that loop by dropping my dog off, and we drove from Southern California up 395. It was an eclipse.
It was. This was the year of the eclipse.
In Oregon.
Yes, and different parts of the country. And I think my mom, hi mom, had traveled somewhere to see the eclipse. And she was like, oh, the eclipse is actually going to pass through Yosemite or somewhere. And she's like, you should try and see it. But we weren't going to be exactly where it was going to be because we were traveling up from LA.
Yeah, it was supposed to go through the Willamette.
Oh, yes.
It was a big deal, and like people had bought out every rental in that part of Oregon, like the Willamette Deschutes area. We were leaving when it was going to be in the state we live in near us, and we were driving up 395, and we were looking at the time. We're like, "Oh, it's going to happen? Is it going to happen?" And it felt like, and you tell me if you disagree with this. It felt like when a plane flies over you and blocks the sun for a smidge.
Yeah, I was going to describe it as like, when it's like really sunny, like beautiful summer day, it's really sunny. And then like a cloud passes over the sun. That's what it felt like.
Yes. And I, trying not to catastrophize things and assume that everything has a deeper spiritual meaning as an omen, was like, it got really dark before we started the JMT. Is that bad? Is that a bad sign?
And I was like,
shut up.
And I was like, no. I was like, new beginnings.
Boy, howdy were they.
Yes, they were. And in hindsight, I don't think that it was a bad sign.
It was an eclipse. It's a natural thing that happens.
Side note, next year is the 10-year anniversary. We're recording this in 2026. Next year is the 10-year anniversary, 2027. Isn't there an eclipse next year?
Isn't there an eclipse every year?
Girl, I don't know.
The moon moves around, the sun.
But isn't there like a solar eclipse next year? I'm not a STEM girly. Someone help me.
Nope, not either.
We'll Google it. So the next thing I have in my day 0 journal is that, of course, our last meal before beginning our hike was at Taco Bell in Bishop.
Shout out to Taco Bell. We would love a sponsorship. We have some ideas.
We even got some to go for dinner tonight.
Of course we did.
Yes.
Why wouldn't we? Bean and cheese burrito, hot or cold.
Mm-hmm. No onions, though. Texturally congruent. Everything must be.
I'll take the onions.
Texturally congruent.
Take them.
For your neurospicy co-hosts.
Different neurospicy.
But compatible neurospicy.
Onions and mushrooms? No. Cucumbers and celery? No.
Textures are texturing.
Do not get a banana anywhere near me.
I love banana.
Stringy, mushy, yellow, and brown? No.
I love bananas.
Nope. I will take your mushrooms. Okay, so
Deal.
day 0 was us driving up from LA to the valley. We actually stopped at Tuolumne Meadows.
Yes. So we didn't arrive in Yosemite until around 3:30, and we were at the Tuolumne Ranger Station by 4:15. I was very meticulous about editing.
I was not.
This, where we picked up our permits from Ranger Dan.
Dan the man.
Dan the man. I have no idea what Dan's last name is.
I have no idea either, but he is a mythic character in our lives.
He is. We still talk about Dan the man every year when we are in the Eastern Sierra, specifically at Tuolumne Meadow.
We visited him one year.
We did.
I think it was the year after we did the JMT.
We did.
Because we do go to the Eastern Sierra annually.
Yeah.
It is a friendship requirement.
Correct.
And we went back in and he was there.
Yeah.
He looked different because I think when we got our permit, he had a big old beard.
Yes.
And we went back and he did not.
Clean shaven.
And I saw the name Dan and I was like, were you here last season? And he was like, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think you gave us our permit. And he was like, cool.
Yeah. He was like, okay. But in that particular moment, In 2017, he gave us our permit.
Mm-hmm.
He gave us our
W.A.G bag.
correct. Because you reach a certain point in the trail where when you're above the tree line, specifically in the Whitney zone, you're not allowed to use the bathroom in the rocks. You have to use the W.A.G bag, which is basically a bag full of kitty litter.
Correct. And you must carry it out.
And you
pack
must
it
carry
in,
it out.
pack it out.
Yes.
No more cat holes.
Yeah.
Now you have a cat box in a bag.
Correct. And he like imparted upon us a bunch of information about trail conditions, which I don't know that I recorded, and I don't remember because I think at that point a buzzing began in my head because I was like, shit.
And this is where our neurospicy differs, right? I have no fucking clue what to expect. And I walk in and he goes, oh yeah, the creek crossing at whatever is a little bit high, but we haven't had any issues in a long time. Just make sure that you got 3 points of contact. Oh, people were going over this pass. They said the trail was pretty solid. Just make sure you try to get over it earlier because it gets really slushy in the afternoon. And we heard there was a bear in this area with a cub. Just watch out for it. Haven't had any negative reports. And otherwise, I think we're good. And I hear, okay, no to look for that. No to look for that. I'm aware. And you're going, fuck.
Well, I think I heard bear and went, oh. Because I've had one too many bear encounters in my time and went, yes.
I have had nothing but positive bear encounters.
Oh, it's those Appalachian Mountains.
First and foremost, there are no grizzlies in Southern California. So I was less terrified. I have grown up being in that area regularly, and every bear encounter I have ever had in my knife, Freudian slip. Every bear encounter I've ever had in my life, knocking on wood,
Yes,
has been in a campground where there is food because they want to come for tasty treats.
yeah.
When I was like 5, they were digging through this is prior to the installation of bear boxes, those big metal boxes that have like an Allen wrench to be able to open. We just had our food in like a plastic container, mistake. And the bear came and was digging through and eating it all. And it left because they set off a car alarm to scare it because screaming it was like, yeah, okay. And it came back for licorice and hot cocoa mix.
That is a bear of distinguished tastes.
I do not agree with the licorice choice, but sugar, I understand. So that's like the scariest instance I've ever had a bear encounter. 9 times out of 10, they're digging through food or a trash can, and they just want the food.
Yeah.
They're not interested in you.
No.
Although I will say, when we were in the backpackers campground on 0 day, and we were in the tent, and I heard the air horns going off, I was like, I really hope they're not trying to open my car right now.
Yep. Yeah. So, but Dan did tell us, according to my notes here, how to get to the backpackers parking lot and backpackers camp, which are in 2 different locations. Let's just say, quote from my journal, Yosemite's maps are shit.
I will say they've done a lot of work because, we're going every year.
Yeah.
They've done a lot of work.
Yeah.
And we have been able to find the visitor center despite having to park in a very different parking lot every time now.
That's true. This was 10 years ago.
But we tried to take the bus. We were walking. There was nothing. There was a lot of loops. It was as someone who has driven the Yosemite Valley many a time, walking it is very different.
It's very different. It took us like 2.5 hours to find the group campsite for the backpackers. And we must have walked past it 5 or 6 times. I think we actually put 4 miles of walking in that day or something like that.
I think we hit 10,000 steps despite having only driven for like 5 hours.
Yes, and it was because we didn't walk behind one specific set of bathrooms.
We ended up getting the last spot.
Yes.
Right next to those bathrooms.
Yeah. And we found it because I finally pulled up the topographical map on my phone and saw the group campsite in the general direction we were supposed to be going and was about to nav us there. But I did note that Nikki was very upset, and I was too.
Well, my first thought was, we can't find our way to the backpackers camp on paved ass roads
with signs.
Yes. And we're going to navigate in the back country.
I know. I think we had this conversation while we were walking around, and I was
that
like,
was it.
I was
terrified.
I was having this internal conversation with myself while we were having an external conversation where I was like, she's not wrong.
So wilderness survival, we were taught how to read maps.
Yeah.
I've never had a problem reading maps. I can get you from a parking structure to a location in a downtown and nav you back without a problem. If you ask me to point at north, good luck. If I am in Denver, I'm looking for the mountains, and if I can't see them, you're not getting north.
Yes. And in Eugene, it's really nice because you have one very distinctive looking butte in the north and one very distinctive looking butte in the south.
Yeah, so being in the mountains, I was like, and I did have an experience with a former colleague. We had done 22.25 mile hike one day up to Maiden Peak.
Yes.
And it was supposed to be an 11-mile hike. And I don't know if my Fitbit was just, I was walking more steps than I should have, if the person that put 11 miles in all trails was a liar, but it was 22 miles round trip.
Mm-hmm.
It was all day. We did not expect it. So we didn't pack like dinner, right? We had like packed lunch and snacks, but not dinner. And there was a point at which the trail kind of disappears into a well-wooded and therefore pine needled area.
Yeah.
And it had snowed the previous weekend when we had tried. And it was like unseasonable snow. So we're like, let's go back and try it. And we wandered through because we saw boot prints in patches of snow. And then there's a point at which you're above the tree line, you're on rock, you're just getting to the top of what was a volcanic mountain. And actually, it might actually be a active volcano.
I think it might be.
Don't remember.
Yeah.
It is in the Cascades.
Yeah.
And so you're getting up to the top of this like rocky mountain and there's cairns. So we followed the cairns and we got to the top and we're like, holy fucking shit, we did it finally. Because dear God, did it take forever. And then coming back, cairn. Holy shit, where the fuck are we going? My reaction was, I have to get my ass back down to where the trail actually was very defined.
Yeah.
I don't care how I do that, but I have to. And I was using points that I had remembered. I was like, we came up through here because it was flat. And then this is where we started going up through the pine needles. And as we were coming down, we ended up at a fucking cliff. We're like walking. We're like, we think we're at the right spot. And I look and I said, this cannot be the right spot because the only way to go from here is straight down.
Yeah.
And I was like, we got to backtrack. And she's like, I don't know which way we went. I'm like, we walked through snow patches, find our boots. And we ended up backtracking enough. We had just turned like a little too soon. So as we turned, we found a cliff versus the kind of
meandering,
yeah, switchbacky situation. And thankfully, my friend Jimmy, shout out to Jimmy, had called me in the section right before we got to the snow patches in the needles. And we were like, we have service? So I was like, if I can just get myself back to where we turned into these trees, there's service. Like if I can't find that trail, but I can get myself back to the beginning of these trees, there's an area there where I could call from help. And so I had a situation within a year of that.
Yeah.
Where I had been like uncomfortable. And you were the one that had the emergency beacon.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always been of the mind that like if I am on a trail and I stay on a trail, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
And that was the only time where the trail disappeared. And I think that's likely why I had all the anxiety about what am I going to do if I get to a pass and it's covered in snow and I go the wrong way and I don't know how to do anything.
Yeah, fair.
Do you remember our wilderness survival teacher's name?
Michael
Strong.
Yes.
Thank you, Michael Strong. I know you tried your hardest. My brain does not compass. I know you tried. It is not in the cards for me.
We did have a compass with us.
Oh, yes. We both had a compass. We had
Yes.
all of the survival things. We had a mirror. We had matches. We had iodine for water. We had a big trash bag to collect water. Should we need drinking water? We were prepared.
Michael, I still have my oh shit bag with all the things.
We only ever have an oh shit bag if I'm going on like a day. It's like some food and an oh shit bag.
It's, I have a little note here that kind of gives me some insight into how I was feeling in that moment. And it says, I felt like if we can't even find a camp, what are we doing? And I felt incompetent.
Yes.
And that's a strong word, incompetent, especially for someone who at that point in their life, this history of coming out of the academy, going into counseling school, thrived on competency. So like day 0, we're not even on the trail yet, and the foundation is already shaking.
So I wrote, after a long roundabout way, we managed to find the backpacking camp and get things organized. We stopped by the car before heading to Happy Isles tomorrow, or we're stopping by the car before heading to Happy Isles tomorrow. I think we had already decided we were ditching stuff.
Yeah.
I feel less anxious and more excited. I'm concerned about the physicality of it. I
Mhm.
also feel like I'm carrying too much weight. I was. I'm excited and nervous. I'm feeling exhausted as we hit the backpacker camp. I felt very defeated. Walking in circles around the Yosemite Valley to find a camp did not give me a bout of confidence. But I hope the trail will be easier to navigate and recognize. The bugs are already bad.
Yes.
The bear barrel is overflowing. This should be interesting.
Yes.
That was day 0.
I wrote towards the end of this entry, hoping tomorrow will be better.
So I think I told you that first night, I had a really hard time falling asleep.
Yeah.
And I had a nightmare in the middle of the night. I don't remember any of it. It is written here.
Yes.
But I remember nothing.
I do feel like you've told me about the nightmare before, but time has kind of erased the details of the nightmare.
Without reading my notes, I remember having a hard time falling asleep because there were folks that were perhaps more rambunctious than us, hanging out, kind of vibing. Who knows? Maybe they just finished the JMT, right?
Yeah.
And they're heading home. But I remember they were kind of loud. And we were right by the bathroom, so people were going in and out. And you and I were like, we've got a long day tomorrow. We want to get up early. We're going to backtrack to the car.
Yes.
From the backpackers camp that we couldn't find when leaving the car. So
Yes.
we both were like, I think we can get ourselves back to the car. And then from the car, we knew that we'd be able to get to Happy Isles. It's well signed. And that was our starting point.
Yeah.
Let's go to sleep relatively early. Let's make sure that we went through all of our stuff. Our bear barrels were overflowing and we knew that we needed to do some editing. We left Taco Bell hot sauce in the car and we thought that was a mistake because of bears, but also because we needed them.
Thank God we went back for that Taco Bell hot sauce.
Thank you, Taco Bell. So I woke up in the middle of the night and I wrote, I see a flash of blackness and the cold air hitting my back sticks to my spine. I roll over almost immediately and pull the sleeping bag over myself. My heart's racing. My mind is spinning. Where am I? And an owl is heard in the distance. Yosemite Backpackers Camp. I'm safe. I'm safe. I'm safe. I tell myself. It felt like an omen. Like that. I remember waking up and being like, where the fuck am I? What am I doing? And mind you, Em and I shared a 2-person tent rather than sleeping separately or carrying 2 different tents. So think about the tiny backpackers tents and Em is laying in one direction and I have my face at her feet and her face at my feet.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I wake up in the tent and there's like not even like a face next to me. It's feet, right? It's like the end of a sleeping bag. Our backpacks are on the outside of the tent. Our bear barrels are, I believe the backpackers camp had bear boxes.
They did.
So we had our backpacks like against the side of our tent, but everything else is away.
Yeah.
And this is the first time I'm sleeping on a tiny ass mat in a tiny ass tent with what I can carry on my back. I had backpacked one night prior. And it was like a quick in and out in Yosemite, but I had never like backpacked before. And so I say it was a nightmare, an illogical nightmare in which my most paranoid and anxious friend teases a sketchy situation. I dream we're sleeping outside a small cabin. The small porch near us is dark and scary. She approaches and calls out a darkness. I immediately throw myself awake. It was a nightmare. I've been stressed with the thought of leaving my dog, my boyfriend, my family. It makes sense I would have a nightmare. I'm in a strange new place and I hate strange new places at first. I start to rationalize my experience, but then I think about intuition and how women are told to ignore theirs. And I think about the strange motel in Winnemucca where Em and I ditched things when they were too sketchy to ignore. And I think about shadow people and I think about entities and energies and I think about omens and I check my watch and it's midnight exactly and it's day 1.
Yeah.
I talk myself down, but I remain tightly bundled in my sleeping bag. Each pours pulsing sweat out. I'm not cooling down. I won't let my skin feel much cooler air outside. I can't remove the cocoon of safety I'm wrapped in. The sleeping bag protected me from the coldness of the dark thing, and I again rationalized that it was a nightmare. It was not real. It was not an omen. Eventually, I let my arm out, and then slowly I grow more comfortable with the idea of being uncovered. I uncross my arms that had been over my chest. I grow less diligent about policing the tent, and I let out a leg, and finally, at some point, I fall back asleep.
That's really intense, though.
The moral of the Winnemucca story is that Em and I had to decide this is how we die and leave.
Yes.
anxiety, I think, is more prevalent than ever. In some ways, more normalized than ever.
Yeah.
I have a friend who was talking about manifesting and manifesting potentially being something bad. And I saw like one of those cliche memes with like a pretty picture and some text on it, but it said, anxiety is loud and intuition is quiet.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I wish I had that. But it was, I don't even remember what friend it was, by the way. Couldn't tell you. Don't know. Have no idea.
So it wasn't me.
No. If it was you, I would have put you.
Yeah.
But I didn't. And I don't know who it would have been. It was somebody. I remember waking up and it was exactly midnight. And I was like, it's day one.
It is day one. All right. So that's how we started.